Good morning. Happy Sunday. Sunday. Sunday, it feels like the end of a long holiday week. I hope everybody's enjoyed a fantastic 4th of July holiday. I hope it's been safe. You've had plenty of time with your family, maybe good food. I can tell you here in San Diego, I'm in Carlsbad, it doesn't seem as busy as it's been for the past 4ths, which is odd because usually when it's hot inland, then it's super busy at the beach. And speaking of heat, Palm Springs broke a record, 124 degrees. It was forecasted that Death Valley might break the all-time hottest record on planet Earth, recorded record. There's an argument, is that 133 degrees or 130 degrees? It was definitely forecast to be at least 130, and maybe it got up to over 133. My hometown in Scottsdale, it was 119 on Friday. I think it was 118 yesterday. So it's hot. So usually when it's hot, people come here to San Diego, but it doesn't seem overwhelmingly packed for whatever reason. Today is Sunday, which means it's Book Club Sunday, and I really enjoy this. I'm looking about getting better at this, developing it, maybe getting more interaction with you folks. We'll pick a book in advance, talk about it. We'll develop this. I'm actually today on my analog, so something I'll share with you. Part of my ethos challenge is to use analog day planning every day. And what you do is you write the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things that are the big boulders you want to achieve that day. And then you track your progress on it. And if you don't finish them, you take it the next day. I also write notes on the back of the card. But today is Sunday, so I don't have 10 things written on it. You can't see, but I don't have 10 things written on it. But the second thing on my list, my analog list today, is to redo my back wall. I want to refresh my back wall, get rid of some of the tchotchkes, and replace it with books. And as you can see, I have 3 cases of books sitting on the floor ready to go up on the wall. Now, it's embarrassing that I have 3 totes of books. I actually probably have about 15 totes of books because a few weeks ago I confessed that I had forsaken hardback and paperback, and instead was going to one of my mini iPads. And as you can see, I haven't formed that habit. But I will merchandise the back wall with books. Hopefully it'll be more attractive to my friends that are authors, like Renee Rodriguez, Chris Welton, even Kyle Draper. Ping me, let me know how I can order a case of your books, and I'll put them on the back wall. And I'd love to do that. So Renee, Kyle, Chris, just ping me, text me, email me, figure out what's the easiest, best way for me to order a case of books from you, and I'll put them on the back wall. Now, you go, gosh, why do I want a case of books? And this is really interesting because my whole career, I've always tried to share information and knowledge. And so and most of you have been to one of my offices before, and I always have a couple of bookshelves in my office, and in it I have about 100 books with stacks about 15 or 20. Like you can see, Execution, which I love that book. I have about 30 of those books on my back wall. The Traveler's Gift, whatever book. So I usually have as many as 100 books, stacks of books in my office. And when I meet with a recruit, or if I'd meet with an employee, if I'd meet with a colleague, and we talk about a concept, and I constantly try to use information from books, so I'd say, well, here's what I got out of Execution. This is a really important point. And then I go to my bookshelf and go, here's a copy of the book. Why don't you read it, and then let's get together and talk about it. And I did that for 20 years. And so I've always carted around a bunch of books. Well, flash forward today, people aren't in the office, and we're doing Zoom meetings. So I don't have the opportunity to hand people books like I used to. So now they kind of sit on my shelf. And furthermore, if I'm talking to you on the phone or talking to you on Zoom, what I do is I'll go to Amazon, find the book I reference, and then ship it to you, and you'll have it today or tomorrow. Where in the office, if I do that, I take it to the receptionist. I go, hey, can you send this to this, to this person? Here's their address. Here's a little note. Where it's just so convenient to send people books through Amazon. And what I've found over time, Amazon is now my new Rolodex, because every time I send somebody something, I get their address, and in my Amazon, I literally have hundreds of addresses. And so that's my preferred method now to share books. I know I could even probably do better and share digital books. However, I'm still in the habit. I like having them behind me. They're my friends. I think it's a good backdrop. So when you see me, hopefully tomorrow, I'll probably try to do my morning live here, and you can check out, see how the books look. And then down the road, my friend Mr. King will be coming by to help me made me make this more attractive for you folks, this background. And so, Dave, thank you. With that, before I get started the book, last night I went out and hung out with some really good friends of ours. They had us over to their house for dinner. Their house is beautiful. Denise and Adam. I know, Denise, you might watch this. Might be the first one you watch today. You probably won't watch it live. But thank you so much for your and Adam's hospitality. You have a beautiful house. They just remodeled it. It's up on the bluff here at Carlsbad. It was a wonderful dinner. We had Chilean sea bass and Spanish rice and California salad. It was fantastic. Some fresh guacamole and some fresh chips. So thank you for your hospitality. And Denise, I know you're going to check this out. Belinda will send it to you. Let me know what you think, because you were completely confused what that guy's doing. And I don't blame you. I'm confused too. The book we're going to cover today is the No Complaining Rule. And it wasn't a book that was on my list to cover. A matter of fact, I planned to cover The Energy Bus by the same author, Jon Gordon, later. But what happened when I was going through the books in my totes and thinking about which ones I'd feature on my shelves, I came across this book, which I haven't read for a few years, and I go, I'm going to read this book again. I want to get into this book. And so that's what I did. I reread this book, and it's a really easy read. It's only like 140 pages. Pretty fast read. I was listening to a podcast with the author of the book, and he was being interviewed by someone, and the person interviewing him goes, pretty simple concept. It's not too hard. No complaining, right? And John, the author, said, the fact is, the closer we get to the truth, the simpler it is, right? And that really resonated with me, so I really like that. And in getting ready for this, conversation today, just trying to organize my thoughts, I looked up books by Jon Gordon, and I was, one, surprised by how many books he's written, but two, surprised by how many books he's written that I've read, right? And somehow I wasn't putting it all together because maybe I'm a little slow on the uptake. But, the No Complaining Rule is one of his early books, and it really is I think the beginning of his process or evolution to writing his more recent book, The Energy Bus, which is a wild international bestseller. And everybody talks about the Energy Bus. And really, the No Complaining Rule is a lot of the same concepts that are developed in a little bit greater form in the Energy Bus, right? And they're both wrapped around stories. This is wrapped around stories. The protagonist is Hope. In the Energy Bus, the character is George. But we're going to cover the No Complaining Rule, which is kind of the beginning. And as I look at the list of books, the 17 books he's read, I read The Carpenter, The Power of Positive Leadership, Training Camp, The Positive Dog, The Hard Hat, which, by the way, my son Vincent gave me. You Went in the Locker Room First with Mike Smith. We've all read The Coffee Bean with Damon West, right? And then my brother gave me the book, The One Word That Will Change Your Life, with Dan Britton and Jimmy Page. So I've read, 6 or 8 of John's book without really realizing that they're all the same author. And they're all kind of the same message. But so I'm excited to talk about this book today. And the reason I can be so chatty, because it's going to be simple. It's so truthful, it's going to be simple. I mean, the concepts in the book are really, really, really simple. And I'll tell you, if you're a Jon Gordon fan, he supports his writing and his speaking, his extensive speaker, with his website. I think it's jongordon.com, pretty simple. And then if you can also go to jongordon.com/the Energy Bus or / the No Complaining Rule. And on each of those, or you can just go to his main website and click through. And then there's a study guides. You can actually print posters if you want to put them in your office or wherever. There's practical. There's all sorts of stuff you can get. Really simple stuff, printable stuff for whatever his book is. Go there if you like it and check it out. There's also like a book club, like I think syllabus that you can use. It doesn't call it that, but it's something like that. I didn't print it, as you can tell, because I'm just gonna rip this. But so there you go. That's the No Complaining Rule. Now here's the thing about the No Complaining Rule. It's not about not complaining. That's not what the book's about. And it's not about Pollyannish, and it's not about ignoring, problems. It's not. What it's about is to stop mindlessly complaining, right? It's that don't just complain for complaining's sake. And in the book, John says, look, there are 2 reasons why people complain. One, because they're fearful and hopeless, right? Or two, it's become a habit. And those are only two reasons. And so if you find yourself complaining, why? Which are you? Are you fearful and helpless? See, fearful without being helpless doesn't matter, right? Because I can be fearful, but if I'm empowered, then I'm empowered to change, my position. Or being helpless, but if I was happy, I guess that wouldn't be a big deal either. But most of us, it just has become a habit, right? And the book is just how do you break the habit, right? How do you break the habit of complaining? And one of the ways you break the habit of complaining is stop complaining, right? And so, what one of the exercises that or techniques that John suggests is, look, go a day without complaining. Just say, I'm not going to complain today. And what that will do, it'll make you focus on your mindset, right? It'll make you focus, because it's like if you go a day and I'm not going to cuss, or you go a day and I'm not going to eat donuts, or whatever it is you want to stop. All of a sudden you're focused on that, and it gets your mind sharp to it, right? So in the no complaining rule, the first choice, don't complain. And there you go. Bang. Simple. Book report done, right? And he also talks about just the impact. Chapter 3 goes deep into the cost, the lost productivity, the lost health from complaining. Complaining is negative. It creates all sorts of energy. It's all bad, right? And so and what he says is, look, oftentimes when we complain, it's because there's a vacuum. There's a vacuum. And in the absence of matter, in the absence of substance, the world naturally fills that space with negativity, right? And so if you're an organization, that's the absence of communication, the absence of transparency, the absence of connection with your employees and with employees with themselves. In the absence of that, then a negative environment starts to fill the void. And so we have to intentionally fill the void with positivity, which goes back to an Earl Nightingale, belief. And Earl Nightingale says, we all are standing in the most fertile land possible. And it's so fertile. And in this space, we have the option as the farmers of our space, or the owners of our mind, we have the choice to plant wheat and corn, or we have or we can choose to plant nightshade. And I'm stumbling on that because who knows what nightshade is? It's a poison, I guess, from some far time ago. I've never seen nightshade, thankfully. But we can use this fertile ground, and we can plant it for all the abundance we want, or we can use that ground to plant poison, and the ground will yield whatever we give it. And really, it's just, he's saying the same thing for our mind. And that's what all these, this all goes back to the Bible, right? You sow what you reap. You are what you think. All these books, and thinking of this book, there's 100 books about mindset and gratitude, and it's all the same thing. What are you putting in your mind, and what are you owning? Because we all take responsibility of that. In the book, John talks about, which is a really interesting thing, is you cannot be negative. You cannot be negative if you're in a state of gratitude, right? And that's the solution to so much of what we do. If we simply are grateful, it pushes out all of the thoughts. Rene Rodriguez, who I mentioned on here before, he teaches influence. Part of his teaching of influence is public speaking, and he teaches public speaking. He gives them a whole bunch of devices to get out of their own fear. Like if you don't like being in front of people, if you get nervous, if you have that emotion, what he teaches is if you get in a state of gratitude, you cannot at the same time be in a state of anxiety. And it's the same thing with complaining or negative. If you're in a state of gratitude, you cannot it is physiologically impossible to at the same time have gratitude and then have negativity or have anxiety, And so if you practice gratitude and you learn how to be grateful, that you will no longer be the person complaining, and you'll be the positive force. And that's another concept of the book. Who are you? What do you give to the world? Do you complain and take people's energy, or are you optimistic and positive and give people energy? Right? And remember, the book isn't about Pollyannish. It's not about not complaining. It's about not complaining mindlessly. And to not complain mindlessly means, hey, look, I recognize we have a problem, but here are some solutions, but here's how we're going to overcome it, but here's what I'm going to do versus, Dad, this place sucks. Well, that's not helpful. That's not helpful at all, right? And so John has 3 no complaining tools or techniques to catch yourself when you complain. The first one, and they're all super simple. I mean, I'm telling you, this is all super simple, easy to apply. The first one is the but, right? And so the positive technique is go, gosh, I'm so disappointed. I'm 10 pounds overweight, or I'm so mad, or I'm so frustrated. I'm complaining about whatever, but like I'm so frustrated. I have dog hair all over my dress pants, but I'm so grateful that I have a dog that loves me, right? So you go, okay, this is true. This is true. This frustration, but I'm thankful, I'm so frustrated that the kids put fingerprints all over my, clean windows that I just paid to have clean, but I'm so thankful to have children. And so that's the but technique. And when we feel ourselves complaining, go, but this is what I'm grateful for, right? And then a really good technique is the get to instead of have to, right? And that might be, gosh, I can't believe I have to go to work. I can't believe I have to go work out. I can't believe I have to go grocery shopping. I can't believe I have to go to this meeting. I can't believe I have to go to the doctor, right? And you just need to change that word to get to, and it completely changes not only your mindset, but your physiology, right? The way your chemicals go, you just immediately change to I get to. And if you change those 2 words, you're going a long way, not only taking the energy bus, which we'll cover another time, but into being a positive force for, making positive things happen and not complaining. And then, and the third thing that he goes into in great lengths, which I've covered, is you got to turn your complaints into solutions. So a complaint is recognizing a problem, but a solution then is empowering you and providing positive energy, right? And so that's the key thing. So if we can just but or get to or problem, but here's a solution, we've gone a long way, right? And some of the things just for mindset, just in general, to be a positive person, practice gratitude, and hopefully, everybody has vehicles or devices to be grateful. However you do it, some people might do it through prayer or meditation. It might be through journaling, a gratitude journal, whatever it happens to be. But practice gratitude and formally practice it and learn that skill as a muscle. Because when you're in gratitude, all sorts of great things happen. Be sure to praise others, so praising others elevates our positive energy. It elevates that energy in them. It makes us happy. It makes us grateful. Focus on successes, and then next, let go of the baggage. And in the energy bus, John talks about, hey, take these bags off the bus. And, one of them is all the things you can't control, all the negative stuff, negative people type of thing. So those are I gave you his 3 tools. I gave you some mindset stuff. I'll wrap up. I just noted, as I read a book, I note some of the quotes that I like. I'm going to share some with you. And by the way, if you guys know John Gordon, you read his stuff, he's the most positive cheerleader in the world, which is so interesting because the book, the title, kind of to me had a negative feeling to it. And it's not that at all. It's about how to be a grateful and happy person. When I read some of these quotes, they sound negative. They're not. They're just teaching us how to be positive. So complaining is like a virus that spreads negativity and drains your energy. It's simple, right? It makes sense, right? When you complain, you focus on the problem, but when you take action, you focus on the solution, right? That's victimhood versus empowerment. Empowerment is super healthy. Victimhood is super unhealthy. What you focus on expands, so make sure to focus on the positive. Simple, right? Complaining doesn't change the situation, only reinforces your negative mindset. Perfect. Choose to be part of the solution, not the problem. I like this one. Complaining is a form of self-pity that only holds you back from achieving your goals. Right? Like, what purpose does complaining serve, really? I mean, if you stop and think, it makes us, it's like candy. It gives us a temporary high, but it doesn't help us. And that's something we can choose. And this is what the quote is: complaining is temporary relief, but taking action leads to long-term fulfillment. He talks about our words shape our reality, so speak words of encouragement and positivity instead of complaints. Right? I mentioned complaining puts you in the victim mentality, preventing you from taking responsibility for your own happiness. This is really true. I'm gonna say this is super true, and this is I know from people that I work with, and sometimes in myself. By the way, I'm not immune to this. Complaining is a reflection of your own internal state. So work on improving your mindset and attitude, right? If we're in a horrible mindset, a horrible state of mind, we just are like a cesspool of complaints, right? It really has nothing to do with the environment. It has everything to do with what's inside of us. And so sometimes if you're just complaining all the time, you got to go, man, I got to do something different. Like this is me. And which gets me to one of my favorite quotes. This technical quote, if you've been on my live sessions, you know that I don't talk about politics and I don't cuss. I rarely use technical terms, which I call cuss words. But Mike Ferry, I remember Mike Ferry used to have a wonderful quote, and it's another truism. And he essentially said, if everyone around you is a jerk, now I use a technical word to start with an A. If everybody around you is a jerk, then most likely you're the jerk, right? Like you're attracting who you are, right? You're cultivating what you're emanating, right? And so if everybody around you is complaining, bet you the bottom dollar you're the one that's emanating that and attracting it. So change the channel, right? Because complaining doesn't make it better. Taking action does. And complaining just drains your energy versus builds your energy. So that is the no complaining rule. Really easy to read. Short, 140 pages. If you're a John Gordon fan, it's a really good to go back to his early thoughts on this, which he develops and makes, polishes out on the energy bus. Probably in a few weeks, I'll cover the energy bus because that's a really good book. And I'm only about halfway through that book. I hope everybody enjoys a terrific Sunday, the last day of this holiday weekend. If you're commuting, just be thankful that you get to share space with a lot of other people. Get to meet new people on airports or planes or trains. I took a train the other day. It was great. Trains, whatever it is, have a great weekend. I will be back tomorrow. Thank you. Bye. Hey, John, by the way, good to see you on there. Hope you have a great weekend, man. Let's connect.